The teaching profession is, it's been called a sink of or swim type of profession, or make it or break it type of profession. It's a very tough one. And the issue usually is that the demands are very high, and we only accumulate the expertise and we develop the skills that we need once we are in the job and we are dealing with real students. And that creates a very high stakes type of environment for learning. And the feeling of not being competent and failing to your students sometimes is too much to bear. And so the idea of this project, let's try this again, it's to try to provide the future teachers an environment where they can try to, try their skills and develop their skills and their mental mindset to become the teachers that they want to become, but in an environment where the stakes are much lower, because it's an environment that it's not real. And we can stop it at any time, we can go back, we can try again, and I believe that that will be very important. I believe that teaching, like with repetition, with practice, you only create things that are permanent. But when you are able to reflect on your practice is when you can reach some kind of perfection. We will never be able to do things perfectly, but the more we try and we reflect on what we are doing, we can get closer to that ideal of what we want to do in our classes. So we thought that maybe with virtual reality, we can create that environment that will allow us to try and test different hypotheses and different skills and develop the mental set and the skills that the teachers will need to be successful with their classes without putting students and themselves in any difficult situation. My experience with virtual reality before coming into this project, it's not huge. Myself, I played a few times. I experienced it a few times, put on the goggles and went into different worlds at different places in Montreal. But I didn't have experience with it. And one of the big misconceptions that I had is it's the value of the actual reality, of how realistic needs to be the context that you're presented to. So I think virtual reality can create that environment that you are immersed in, but at the same time I think our imagination is very powerful. So to what extent the environment that you are in needs to be close to the actual reality, or is it more the experience that you are putting yourself into that will allow you to be part of that world, with the idea that if you're able to use your imagination and you are as part of that world, then you are being able to accumulate certain memories that when you're faced with a situation in the real world, then you can enlist them, and then you will be able to behave the way that you want to behave, because you already have those memories that are being stuck through the virtual reality experience. For me, the biggest difference is the immersive experience. So when I am trying to explain a situation to our students and we talk about the possibilities and things that you could do to solve this issue or the other issue, I am I'm visualizing a situation in my head that I am trying to transmit to my my students, future teachers, and they have their own representation of that environment in their own heads. And we don't know how much those representations match, really. But when I create an environment and they put on the goggles, then I know that that is the situation that the situation that I created is a situation that they are seeing. So when we go back to the table to reflect on what we saw and we reflect on the process and the possibilities, then we know we are talking about exactly the same thing. And we can start talking about details that match matters in a classroom. Like, do you have 5 students or 20? Is the student that you are trying to talk, to, is it sitting in the front row or at the end of the front row? Is it a sunny day or a cloudy day? Things that otherwise, would be hard. All those details will be very hard to bring to the table. When we are talking about the actual scenario that has been created, then all those variables can be controlled, and then because of that they can be brought to the table to have a more deep discussion, a deeper discussion, I think.
My teacher training was somewhat practical, but what we did mostly in class was look at videos on teaching environments and what we were going to do when we start teaching in our internships. And I feel that the VR experience just gives us a better understanding of the context. Even though it's not real life, it kind of mimics real life, so it gives you a feel of the space and the environment. So it just really immerses you in the experience, which I think is something that we missed before internships and before teaching.
So we live in a technological world, even more so since COVID happened, and I find that VR is, by bringing simulations into anything really, it helps you practice, it helps you basically do anything you can or want in low-stake environments, really. That's really what it helps you with. And it's also engaging and fun, so you have more motivation to interact and to participate.
The responses have been very positive. They think, first of all, they feel proud. They feel that that it's important that they get a sense of people are investing in our education. It's been very hard to fight with the idea that anyone can be a teacher, and if you love kids, well, then that's it. Teaching is a very difficult profession and requires a lot of expertise and a lot of professional knowledge, and that needs to be developed. So for the students to see that there is this interest in providing them with the tools and the environments where they are not putting themselves into a a harmful situation, and they can still develop those skills, so then they will feel more equipped when they are real teachers in a real classroom. So they're very positive. They feel proud that we are investing in their education with something so ambitious. But also, on the other hand, they're just happy to be part of this project because it's very innovative. And usually education, unfortunately, education tends to be behind other fields. And talking again about gamification, the amazing things that are being done in the world of gaming for education, while the education of teachers is not being treated with that injection of resources. So I think they feel very good about this project, and they're looking forward to see how far we can go with that.
Overall, they really enjoyed the VR experience. They thought that this is a great tool. They're excited. Some of them are a bit sad that they're graduating and won't be able to experience and to use the tool, which I agree.
I recall people saying it was really cool, for lack of a better word. It was really cool, it was fun, which I think is important. It's less mundane. I also found that there were a lot of emotional responses in terms of some students, some participants felt frustrated, right? And then others felt completely overjoyed by being part of it. So definitely different feedback, comments coming from different students, but I would say feedback that I probably wouldn't have heard just in a practical in-person setting.
I think the biggest asset for virtual reality will be to allow us to do research in a way, because right now when we do research in reality, unless we are doing kind of research that is very interesting like ethnography or anthropology, but if we want to test things, if we want to test different treatments or programs or projects, it's very hard for us to control all the variables, to be able to draw conclusions and say, well, that change was created because of A or B. Ecological validity is something that we struggle with a lot in the field of education. How do we know that this change that we've brought into the classroom is the reason for the other changes that we've seen? Or we bring something and we don't see any changes because it doesn't work, or because many other variables there are affecting the results. So I think that virtual reality in any field, but also in mostly in social science, will be very interesting because we will be able to control variables. We can create the environments where we can control the different things that we want to control, and then change only certain things, and then see how humans react to those changes. So with that, we can explore different treatments even before they are being tested on real humans. Or even if we get more advanced in artificial intelligence, we might be able to not put humans in risky situations and be able to test our treatments in an environment where not humans could be harmed. So I think there is a big field of potential there for virtual reality in research.
The first thing I thought about was something that's more like environmentally based, maybe environmental sciences, so that you can get a feel of like what you would be doing once you have a career in that field. I also first applied a long time ago to urban planning, and I think that programs like that require, on the feet, like hands-on in the field, I think that VR could really benefit those programs, those types of programs.
Don't be afraid of technology. That, I think, is the best advice, especially in 2022 right now after what we've been through in the world. I think that also the best thing would be is if you have a good plan in mind, don't be afraid to reach out, whether it's to Knowledge One or to other people who've done VR tools, or anybody, or do your own research. I mean, Google exists for a reason, just have an idea. I don't believe that anything, like not everything is impossible. There are some things, like humans can't fly, let's be real. But at the same time, things in technology, shoot for the stars. So at least for professors, I think this is just great, especially that we're moving forward with technology, especially in education. So I think that you're bringing in a visual, hands-on, new way of teaching. And I know that for a lot of professors, they're used to one way and it's very hard to adapt, but they need to accept it and to understand that the world is continuously evolving and changing, and technology will eventually, if not already, rule the world.
Well, the first thing that I will advise is that try it. I think that one of the things that we lose as we gain experience in our professions is that we don't get playful anymore. And I think developing virtual reality, if anything, it injects your own work of a bit of playfulness, because you're creating, right? And that creation is something that is very deep in human nature. So I would say go for it and just try and see where you get. But also I will recommend that to have a very clear idea of what you want to develop, what you want to do. Because the investment of time and resources, if you don't have a clear idea and you need to come back and redo things, it might be a bit too much. So I would say go for it, but with a clear idea of where you want to go with it, what your pedagogical goals are and what your learning outcomes will be.